Hi, Love Bug. Welcome to the Naked Yoga Podcast. This podcast is all about incorporating bits and pieces of yogic philosophy and spirituality into your everyday life. I'm your host, Nika Okoli, a graduate student at Columbia University's Spirituality Mind-Body Institute. I'm also a yoga and meditation instructor at a little studio called Core Power Yoga. You may have heard of it. My mission here is to help you nourish your mind, body, and spirit connection. Each podcast episode will begin with a guided meditation, followed by the core of the episode pairing a spiritual concept with science. Lastly, each episode will end with a mindful closure, providing you with actionable steps you can do after listening to deepen your mind, body, and spirit connection. So, without further ado, let's get right into today's episode. Hello, my little love bugs. I've missed you so much. Welcome to today's episode. I'm sorry it's a little late. I have been going through it in my personal life, and I thought, what better way to kind of like work through my emotions than like kind of sharing them with you, and we can kind of do it together. So a huge thing I want to talk about today is forgiveness. And forgiveness is actually what my positive psychology professor likes to say, like the biggest barrier and blockage when it comes to people reaching their fullest potential. And so we're going to try to break down that block today. He said exactly that the lack of forgiveness can be the biggest block of therapeutic interventions and transformational growth and a barrier to people's personal well-being. So that can be a bit loaded. And sometimes it's not even about forgiving another person for transgressing against you. Wow, did the Catholicism just like jump out of me? But it's also about forgiving yourself for making mistakes. And sometimes when you're only human and doing the best you can and trying to be a better person, it is really hard to do things correctly the first time. And we all make mistakes. So that is going to be the centering or the kind of meat of this episode today. And I wanted to kind of preface that because the meditation I have can be really, really powerful and really activating depending on the person you choose. So we will start today's episode with a forgiveness meditation that's actually based in the Hawaiian tradition. I absolutely love this meditation. And when I did it the first time, I chose someone who was really activating for me. Honestly, might not have been the best idea. I'm not with you guys in person, so try maybe with someone who didn't, kind of completely break your heart and smash your dreams. Maybe start with like a little person who like cut in front of you in line or something like that. But essentially, this meditation is based in the Hawaiian prayer, Ho'oponopono. I might be pronouncing that a little bit wrong. I am not Hawaiian, but essentially the translation is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And that will set us up for today. So without further ado, I think I have been chatting to you guys for such a long time, but I did want to make sure I gave you a little bit of backstory and preference and honored the lineage of this meditation before we jumped in. So let's get started. Wherever you are, begin to ease into your seat, feeling the earth supporting you, feeling grounded within yourself, within your body, and just noticing the flow of your breath as you breathe in and breathe out. Let's take 5 breaths all together to enter into our meditative state. Wherever you are, take a nice big inhale in and out. Inhale And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Twice more. Inhale. And exhale. Last time. Inhale. Fill all the way up. And then let it go. Soften your shoulder blades down your spine. Unclench your jaw. Release the tongue from the roof of your mouth. And now I invite you to begin to visualize someone who has hurt you. Someone who has wronged you in any way. This person may be from your present or from your past. You may be in communication with this person, or you may be in no contact. You may have an intimate relationship with this person, or maybe they were just someone you met in a fleeting moment. Sometimes relationships continue to grow and evolve even when we feel we have been betrayed for whatever reason. As you begin to visualize this person, I invite you to visualize them sitting right in front of you. And as you gaze into their eyes, I invite you to begin to share our sacred prayer. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And as the words begin to repeat in your mind, continue to hold that image of that person and continue to say to the person that has harmed you, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I invite you now to keep visualizing that person right in front of you. And I invite you to remove language from the equation now. Begin to notice where you feel the unforgiveness in your body, the tension, the heat, the fire. And where you feel it, begin to replace it with a source of light. And as you continue to visualize that person in front of you, begin to envision a source of light surrounding them. And this light, it represents all of the goodness in that person, all of the good memories you've had, the joy, the fun. There are good qualities, and that source of light that surrounds them will begin to grow bigger and bigger as you reminisce on all of the beautiful things that you have shared. Bigger and bigger. Taking the time to savor it. Taking the time to build that light of joy. And it may be hard. But at the end of the day, eventually, that light will begin to eclipse that person. And all you will see is their love and their light. Take your time. Allow the memories to grow. Allow the joy to grow. Allow that feeling to grow. And now I want to invite you to reconnect with that source of light coming from you and begin to allow your light to grow. All of the love and joy and support that you offered and shared with this person, until eventually your light begins to eclipse you as well. And at the end, eventually, it'll just be your two lights, your two loves, connecting and touching in harmony. I invite you to refrain from language. Language in this exercise could be a barrier. So let go of your words and just continue to visualize the love and the light and the experience of being in harmony with that person that you have been envisioning. When you're ready, begin to allow the light just to wash over you. Maybe give your fingers and toes a little wiggle. Take your head on a roll. And when you're ready, we will come out with 5 breaths just as we came in. When you're ready, nice big inhale. And an exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, fill all the way up. And exhale. Twice more. Inhale. And exhale. Last time. Big breath in. And then let it go. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, my light bugs. We are going to take a break to meditate, reflect, and journal on that. I already shared that I am going through it. So I usually just pause it, insert some music, and then come back. But I am going to be actively journaling with you guys because forgiveness, forgiving yourself, forgiving other people, like I mentioned, can just be so hard. Even when you try to be, on your enlightened, awakened path. So let's take a moment and let's reflect inward, and I'll catch you on the other side. Okay, my loves, we are back. I am feeling absolutely all of the feelings. Forgiveness is such a hard thing. And like I mentioned before, oftentimes it's like the number one thing, like that unforgiveness is what keeps people from reaching like well-being and like just therapeutic milestones, because we do get stuck in this path of like ruminating and then telling ourselves a narrative and then just being like completely heartbroken because we were disappointed in some way. And I think honestly, oftentimes I want to preface this by saying I'm very in spirit with you guys, in spirit, in the moment, inspiration, because I haven't really planned out this episode fully, but I actually have a lot of things in my heart that I want to share. So firstly, I think forgiveness is such a huge roadblock in our therapeutic and healing journeys because it's hard. Even going to Dr. Brene Brown's work, vulnerability, when you feel that you've been super vulnerable with someone, super honest with someone, and you're not getting that same like honesty in return or that same authenticity in return, it can be absolutely devastating. I think honestly, like one of the huge underlying currents in all relationships, like romantic, platonic, or what have you, is that fear of like loving too much, giving too much, being too much for that other person. And I think if I look back over all of the things I have been through in this life, my friendships that have standed the test of time are friendships in which we have both felt, I think also just over the years, building that trust, showing up for each other, communicating with each other, being super honest with each other, and then having that withstand the test of time. And I'm 29 now. God willing, I will see 30 and 30 more years after that and 100 more years after that. But I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I've actually have started to have people in my life for like decades now. And having just that longevity with someone and knowing that at the end of the day, this person loves me and I can be completely vulnerable with them and tell them anything. It's just such a refreshing feeling to have, and also so hard to get to. You know, it requires years of building trust. And when I think about building new relationships, it can also be like super hard to know like how to navigate. Like, I'm really interested in this person, either being their friend or being their lover or however, or even, oh my gosh, I have so many like professional crushes. I'm like, oh my God, I really just want this professor to like mentor me, like look at their body of research, like, oh my God, everything they do is so fascinating. Like, how can we continue to work together? And like navigating that relationship of like, okay, if I put this out there, is it too much? Like, if I invite them for coffee, or if I ask if they want to hang out like 2 days in a row, even though we literally just spent all of yesterday together, or if I don't know, like if I say the wrong thing, or like I have like a lot of shame regarding this like personal detail in my life and I know I should share it, but like, is this the right moment? And like, will this person still look at me the same way after? And like, these are questions that are just constantly going on in our heads and like repeat mode, you know? And I think honestly, like that vulnerability is telling you like it's time, you know? Like, it was funny today too, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I also take piano lessons. And in today's class, we talked about consonants and dissonance in music. And of course, being a psychology student, I immediately thought of cognitive dissonance. And I think for the first time in my life, I've experienced it. Cognitive dissonance also relates to the yogic concept of asteya, which is a part of the niyamas and how you're supposed to live your life inwardly. So essentially, if you don't know what cognitive dissonance is when your thoughts and like your internal world does not align with how you're acting. in your actions or maybe even in your words. And that's very similar to the concept of asteya and yogic philosophy, in which your words and your thoughts and your actions should always be aligning to help you reach, samedhi, enlightenment at the end of the day. And so I've had this like really terrible, actually terrifying somatic, like in my body experience, in which I realized like, oh my God, like I cannot keep living like this. I need to be vulnerable in this moment. I have to just get it out. And then as soon as I did that, I just felt like this person isn't having the reaction I thought they would have. I'm not sure what reaction I thought they were going to have. I don't even know why I'm saying this. It would have been better if I just like didn't say anything. And then like the ego takes over. You can totally just shut down. And so when you think about forgiveness and vulnerability, forgiveness first and foremost is seeing like the love and compassion within like another person. There's this really beautiful quote from Les Mis, and I just performed it last week with like my little community choir. It was so fun and so cute. But my favorite quote from Les Mis is, to love another person is to see the face of God. And to love a person fully and completely means sometimes you have to compromise, like I think forgiveness is all about like kind of compromising, right? It's like getting out of the ego, because there's some things that I've done in relationships, some things I've forgiven in relationships that now in hindsight, I'm like, oh my God, like, did I just have really low self-esteem? Like, did I not love myself enough? And I can go down that rabbit hole forever. But I think when it comes to like forgiving the unforgivable, I don't think it should ever be a testament of like your self-worth or like your integrity, and more so just like a show of like your compassion. I mean, there's something completely different if someone like did something super like malicious to you, or if you're in like a domestic violence situation. Of course, that's like totally different and like you need to get out. But when you're navigating these relationships and you feel like there's space, like there hasn't been any physical violence or like emotional violence, you don't feel like manipulated in any way, but maybe your minds just aren't meeting in the same way that you think they should. I think that's like a really good area for testing the waters, in which how you want to just embody almost spirit and like God, if that makes sense. I think like to love another person is to see the face of God. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. And then one of my favorite Bible verses, what is it? My commandment to you is this: love each other the way that I have loved you. And I almost think you can replace the word love with forgiveness. Because I mean, I have done some terrible things. I will not shy away from that. Like, I've not been proud of every single moment in my life. Like, I have a tendency, like when I get angry, like I can say some really mean and really hurtful things. I still have like people that were in my life that I feel like I just was not good to at all, because I loved them so much. And then I felt like they hurt me so bad that I just like could not move through the hurt, the pain, the distrust. And so the relationships were ruined because like I couldn't forgive. So I think when it comes to like forgiving the unforgivable, I think you just really have to take a step back and think, what's coming to me is, do I want to be right or do I want to be in relationship? And I think for me, the answer should always be, I want to be in relationship. I don't think, like, if I feel like people are being open and honest, I think the purpose of this lifetime is to find as much love as you can and to surround yourself with as many people who want to love you as possible. And I really, truly don't ever think anyone should feel ashamed of like loving the wrong person or being too nice of a person. I'm the type of person, like, my love language is gift giving. And so sometimes when things end in ways that I don't want them to, I am like kicking myself like, oh my God, like, why did I get this person this and this and that? And like, that was just so silly of me. But it's like, no, like, that is how I show love. And that's just kind of it. Okay, so that wraps up really our episode on forgiveness. This is actually a really fascinating topic, and I think I want to do a little bit more research into Dr. Brene Brown's body of work and then circle back and come back to you guys with it. But I just love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening. For our mindful closure today, I want to prompt you with some journal prompts from our meditation at the beginning of the episode. It's actually a very, very difficult meditation because you end up asking someone for forgiveness who you feel like should be apologizing to you. And so it's a total kind of like flip of the script of how you think forgiveness should play out in the world, or I guess how your ego thinks forgiveness should play out in relationship. And so I know the first time I did it with a very activating person, I really struggled with seeing their light. So my first prompt for you is, one, like, how did it feel to kind of flip the script and instead of waiting to receive an apology from someone who has wronged you, actually providing an apology to someone that has wronged you. Two, I would like to ask you guys to take some time and just reflect on how you felt that somatically in your body. Did you feel it in your heart space chakra? Maybe you felt it in your head, the top of your head, and your hips and your root space chakra. Like, just where were you feeling, if not forgiveness, then maybe I don't even know if I want to say it, but like the negative feelings, like the hatred, the contentment, in your body, and how can you kind of like work to like release that? And then lastly, I would like you guys to make it a point to try to do this meditation one more again sometime this week and see if anything changes for you. And then lastly, I would like to leave you guys with a quote on forgiveness that I think is honestly just absolutely one of the most beautiful things I've ever read, and just so true sometimes. So the quote goes as follows: "Forgiveness is a strange thing. It can sometimes be easier to forgive our enemies than our friends. It can be the hardest of all to forgive people that we love." I'm going to read that one more time because I have goosebumps. Forgiveness is a strange thing. It can sometimes be easier to forgive our enemies than our friends. It can be hardest of all to forgive people that we love. Fred Rogers. And if you don't know who Fred Rogers is, not to be mistaken with Carl Rogers, but Fred Rogers is actually Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I absolutely love that show when I was little. But yeah, I'm going to love you and leave you here. And I'll see you guys in next week's episode. And I'm going to have to bulk record this weekend, hopefully, because I do not think I'm going to have time to chat with you guys next week because I'm graduating. Oh my God, the time is here. Okay. Love you guys so much. Make sure you give this podcast a thumbs up, download it. I don't know what you do, but I will see you in the next episode. Love you. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Naked Yoga Podcast. My name is Nika, and if you want more content from me, you can follow me on Instagram or subscribe to my YouTube channel at Nourish Nika. This is a completely independent podcast. Yes, I write the scripts, record, and edit the podcast all by myself. Therefore, any support you could give, like a like, a share, a comment, maybe leaving a little review on Apple Podcast or wherever you might be listening, would go a very long way and warm my little itty bitty heart. Thank you so much once again for listening, my love bug. I will see you in the next episode.